What is up, everybody? Welcome to Wednesday Wisdom from my back deck this evening. Hopefully you guys can hear the birds tweeting. Wait for some people to get on here. Fix this camera up a little bit. It's nice and peaceful out here. So I figured while we were talking about such a peaceful topic, what's happening, Eddie Martin? What's going on, man? Elizabeth, thanks for joining in. Got some people popping in here. Tia, what's going on? Tia's a regular on Home of the Hustle. Appreciate you. Hi, Kathy. How are you? We are going to get started here in a second, guys. I'm going to share this sucker out real quick to my personal page here. There we go. All right. So tonight's topic is an interesting one. It's one that, from a business standpoint, is one of my favorite topics from a business standpoint, and really it translates to your personal life too. But at the same time, Wilderness Wednesday Wisdom, no doubt. Yep. But it translates over to your personal life too, because, having a process or having a system of how you do things is one of those things. It's like the cousin of discipline, right? So I talk about this a lot. So the people that talk to me on a regular basis on the phone or interact with me in business, they will always hear me talking about the process. And the process is really what sets you free in business. What's happening, Mike? Mike knows all about the process, man. We spent a year working the process, and he can speak to those results without a doubt. You know, when you do the same thing over and over again, and you really fine-tune that process, you fine-tune exactly what you're supposed to be doing in business, and you really get it down to a fine-tuned machine or a system that you know works. At that point, it's as simple as, putting all of the pressure that you feel to perform, all the pressure that you feel to deliver results, you put it on the process, or you put it on the system. So you take it off of yourself and you just simply focus on the things that you need to do in order to get to that point of having consistent results. And so, one of the things that I train people on in sales is that in order to get and achieve predictable results, you absolutely have to follow a process. If you don't follow a process in any point, in any part of business, whether it's, operationally, in sales, in leadership, what you get is really unpredictable and inconsistent. And that's from a leadership standpoint. So you go from, not knowing what to expect from your leader. So that's an inconsistent result. And employees don't like that kind of thing. Employees like to know what they're signing up for and what kind of response they're going to get from their leader. To a sales team that if they go out and they execute a different approach every single time with clients, they're going to get different random results based on the process they chose to work with that particular client. And so it is extremely important to first and foremost have that process in place. Being in the construction world, that is something that I see missing from just a ton of businesses. And I'm sure that it's not unique to the construction industry or to the contracting world, but to actually have a clearly defined process. Because, what happens a lot of times in the construction world is that the businesses that are very successful in construction, they start out with an owner who is very motivated, has a dream. There's a couple business owners on here that I speak with regularly. One of them, Steve Brainey, just joined in, And Steve's a great example of a business owner who has made it, made it big, and has driven himself to a level where these processes that you put in place become extremely important to be able to scale your business. And so when I say focus on the process, step one is you have to make sure that you have an established process. And so if you don't have an established process in your business for a specific thing, whether it's sales, operationally, field folks, leadership, how do you handle employee issues, there should be a process defined for as many things within your business as you can. Realistically, you want it for everything, but as many things, and definitely the most important things that you've got, you want to make sure that you're clearly defining a process, and that everybody knows that process, not just the leadership team, but everybody all the way down to the line level. And those people, for example, in the sales world, it's not important for just the sales team to understand that process, but everybody that touches that transaction all the way through to the finish. So, when the field folks in construction, we might sell a job, but it is just as important for those field folks to understand the process that we follow so that they can embrace anything that happens to that job along the way. They can embrace that better, knowing and understanding maybe where something was missed in the process, and then also helping us learn from our mistakes by understanding maybe where the gap was, seeing the final result, and understanding what was supposed to happen along the way, and being able to give feedback that improves, those individuals as salespeople and as professionals servicing clients. So that is, it is extremely important, first and foremost, to establish the process, and then really to put the pressure that you feel to perform on that process and not on the people and not on yourself. If you're a single entrepreneur or a person that's a salesperson, looking to grow or expand your business. The hardest thing about business is really, managing that pressure and managing that feeling of, man, I need to do more. How do I do this? I'm in a rut. How do I get out of it? And really it all comes back to, getting refocused on exactly what got you there in the first place. Steve, to call Steve out again, Steve and I have had some interesting conversations. When you build a successful business, what got you there is typically the thing that you have to center on no matter what kind of storm comes your way, right? And sometimes it's stripping off all the complicated things that you have built on top of that very basic process that you started with that made you successful. And, most business owners will tell you that, a lot of times they're trying to grow and they're trying to, improve their business. And sometimes we overcomplicate things thinking that we're helping ourselves, and ultimately we're not really helping ourselves at all. But really getting back to that process is what will allow you to grow your business, stabilize your business, and take your business to the next level anytime you choose, as long as you've got that foundation laid to where everybody on the team understands exactly what their role is. And so what we try to do within our company, and what we try to teach other people, is once you identify the strengths of someone and you identify that person can execute XYZ process the best, you want to spend as much time with that person following that process that they're the best at, so that you want that person spending the most time in their own lane where they are the strongest as you possibly can. So example is, I got some bugs flying around me, sorry guys. But example is this morning, we had a quick call within our company about, just talking about how we need to get just refocused. We weren't completely off track, but we need to get refocused on exactly what we're doing and what our roles are, so that we can best service our clients, we can best help each other as a team, and we can get where we're trying to go the fastest by staying in that lane that we do the best. So in my world, that is, sales and leadership, and there's people on our team that handle, scheduling work and following up with things and crossing the T's and dotting the I's. There's people that handle the back office, the financials. All of those people, the more time that they spend doing their exact job, the more successful your team is going to be. So the more time that they are focused on mastering their own process, and focusing on tweaking that process, just little turns of the dial to make it as perfect as you can. That is how you find success, and how you climb the ladder of success the fastest is by keeping people playing exactly in the lane that they should be playing in. So I saw somebody ask the question, I think it was Stan, what is success? I'll tell you what my definition of success is it is purely this simple. It is achieving the most that you can possibly achieve based on your potential. And that comes down to ultimately, what is your potential? Can someone help you discover a higher level of your potential? And then how do you push yourself, and how do you surround yourself with others that help you reach further than you ever thought you could, and really drive yourself past what you thought was possible? And I think, if there's anything that I've learned in my 38 years on this earth, it is that as a human culture in general, we all way underestimate what we are capable of, and that is because of what we see around us. We see people that are performing at mediocre levels, or using, part of their potential, and they don't really ever find that higher gear. And so, the reason that I am passionate about coaching people and helping people in business is that I have found a way that I can pull people's potential out of them, and I can make them believe in themselves more than they ever did before. And there is no greater gift that I can get on this planet outside of my own family and watching my kids grow up and spending time with my family and friends and my wife. But outside of that, as far as business, watching people be able to take their life to a new level by teaching them a process, taking the pressure off of them, and then making them aspire for far greater than they ever did, is an unbelievable feeling. And that is something that I think I've mentioned it before on this show, but it becomes addicting. It truly becomes addicting to show somebody, what they're really capable of, and then watching the fruits of that, change people's lives, their families, their children, being able to get more opportunity and more, money is a byproduct of what you put out there and how hard you work. But certainly, somebody just wrote, the keys to success are buried throughout the process. And it couldn't be more true. Anybody that you see that is consistently successful, they are following a process, and they have mastered that process. I say a lot of times, once you master the sales process, that achieving greatness in sales, or achieving sales, driving revenue, is almost like, walking into your kitchen and turning the faucet on and expecting water to come out. It is that automatic once you understand how to follow the process, because, ultimately in the world of sales and business, money is exchanged when problems are solved. And when you are able to solve people's problems in a quick, simple, easy way that is painless for them, you will separate yourself from the competition. And that is done 100% by establishing, learning, mastering, and following a process that leads to that for the client. And the client will absolutely give you feedback on how smooth the process was, how different it was from everybody else. And, I would just encourage you guys that, we all go through ups and downs, and we have those days where we're like, man, we're in just a little bit of a dip, and we gotta right the course, and how are we going to get out of this? I promise you, the secret of getting back on track the fastest lies in there's a couple things. How long you spend talking about the fact that you're in a rut versus getting back to taking action on getting out of that rut. And then getting out of the rut is, simply put, it's how fast you can get back to executing that same process that created your success in the first place. And in sales, in business, you got to have a short-term memory of failure, and you got to understand that realistically you are supposed to fail more times than you're supposed to succeed. The first thing that I talk about in sales training most of the time is I congratulate people for making a decision to take a career in sales, because ultimately you're signing up for a career that you are literally meant to fail 60-70% of the time. For the average person, sometimes it's even more than that. It just depends on the industry. But being brave enough to take that challenge on and be a salesperson is the first thing that you got to mentally get used to, because people say, oh man, I lost this deal. Well, yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. That is exactly what's supposed to happen in sales, is you're supposed to lose 60 or 70% of the deals. So, don't ever get down on yourself because you lost the deal. It is all part of the process. So you have to learn from every single loss. You have to examine what you did and why it's your fault and what you could have done to avoid that. But that's all part of the process. It's all part of what's exactly supposed to happen. Another question here from Stan. What do you stand for? That was a question I was asked that changed my life. What do I stand for? For me, man, it's always been about integrity, doing the right thing, changing people's lives. I've been in business long enough to know that, some people do it the right way and some people, cut corners. To what degree they cut corners, that's not my decision to make or my judgment to make. But, I have stood by the fact that, I want to do things the right way. I want to help other people understand how to do it the right way. And I want to show people that doing it the right way is absolutely still leads you to success. That there is nothing about cutting corners that's going to lead you to success. That's core values. I don't know. If you want me to clarify that, Stan, throw it in the comments. But that is, from my standpoint, I'm all about trying to make salespeople and then contractors have a better reputation by teaching them this exact process that I'm talking about. For the world of sales, it's a sales process, and there's a lot of different areas that have different systems and different processes. But from my standpoint, I've learned how to master that to a large degree, and sharing that knowledge is really, probably one of the most exciting parts of what I get to do every day. So, and really, I can't tell you enough, when people in business get off track, they really, really, they get frazzled and they forget that original system or original thing that made them close deals and made them move forward in life, that whole thing is still there. That is, I say to salespeople, I think Mike's still on this stream. I've said it to him. It's like your security blanket when you were a kid, right? It never goes away. And so if you need refocused, if you're having a bad day, you got to pour some positive into your brain. You got to get rid of that stuff. We all whine and cry, right? We all have bad days. And, what I preach is this. It's not that we don't get upset. The people that you think don't get upset. Everybody gets bothered by the same things. But champions the elite, the top 2%, the top 1%, that you strive to be, those people just get over it the fastest. They don't spend any time, wallowing or talking about how bad stuff sucks. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And, we repeat that quote all the time within my company. It's like, you want things to be easy. That's your subconscious mind is telling you that, you want things to be easy. But in all reality, when you put it in perspective, you really don't. You don't want it to be easy, because nothing that's easy is worth it, and nothing that's worth it is easy. So in the end, when things get tough, and some of you that watch this often, I think I've mentioned this before, but I was taught by a very wise guy years ago that, adversity, and when you hit that adversity, how you handle it and how you process that adversity is this. As you get up the pyramid of life, right? So, you start at the bottom, and, you're working alongside everybody else. You don't really know what you're doing yet, and you take another step. And once you take that second step, the competition thins out a little bit, because it got a little tough. People didn't stay focused, and a couple people quit. They figured out it wasn't for them, or it was too hard, or, they didn't enjoy that career. But as you get up the top of that pyramid, and you get to the top of it, you start to get to the peak of that pyramid, and you look around, you're with a bunch of people who are all looking to get better at a level that is so narrow. You're looking to gain inches. I always compare things to sports. It's an elite athlete. They're looking for inches. They're not looking to gain feet. They're looking to gain half a second on a guy or a girl. They're looking. It's the same thing in business. How can you gain that edge? How can you ask that extra question? How can you get a client to tell you something that they won't tell somebody else? They may not think to tell somebody else because you ask them the right questions. Those are the things that, when it comes to business and it comes to sales, those are the things that you're looking for. And you find those things, somebody said it earlier, but you find those things by becoming obsessed about the process. And once you become obsessed about the process, you will see that your customers are happier. You are closing sales, you're closing deals a lot easier and simpler and at a higher rate. And everything just gets a lot smoother, because the system and the process becomes automatic, like breathing in and breathing out. And then you get to focus on the next steps in your business. So, how to smooth out the back end process, how to add things into your sales process that's actually going to help the field team. Instead of just closing the deal, how do we get to a point where everything from start to finish, right? So you, as a salesperson, you're starting the process, but how do we smooth it out all the way to the end, all the way to the invoice and collecting the check, depositing the check becomes smooth because of, how we executed the process on the front end. And, what's happening, Pete? Pete knows all about the sales process, right, man? Pete spent 8 weeks with me learning the process. Pete, Scott Spiro's on this stream. Scott was one of the people that I chose. We're going to get together tomorrow and start an 8-week process with those guys about, just exploring the sales process and, teaching people how to create value regardless of the product that you want to sell or want to present to clients. It's the process is all exactly the same. So Scott, you can connect with Pete there on the stream, and he can tell you what you just signed up for, man. You got a lot of homework coming your way, right, Pete? So it's good stuff, guys. It's if anybody has any questions, man, about process challenges that we have, I'm an open book as far as how we do things, what mistakes. I like to say that I'm a really good teacher because of how many times I've made mistakes along the way. And, when I was young, I was a really stubborn guy. So I spent a lot of time learning the hard way. And, that taught me really great lessons as far as how to, the importance of all of these things that I preach. It comes from life experience. It's not me reading it out of a book. It's, I took the lumps to learn a lot of these things. And, most entrepreneurs and people that, are out there trying to do it will tell you that their best lessons come from some of the hardest pain that they had. So, from that standpoint, I will answer anybody's questions. If anybody has anything that they want to know, just drop it in the comments. And if I don't get to it now, if it doesn't pop up here now, I'll definitely get back to you. Or you can always inbox me, and I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody and try to get you on the right track if you feel like you're off track, or get you refocused, or whatever it may be. But I don't want to ramble on, and I got a notification on my phone here that it's going to start raining in a few minutes out here on my deck here. So you guys, man, you can't even see back there anymore. But hopefully this was helpful to you guys. It's one of the most important things I think in business is establishing and following a process. Yes, Kim, I did get my voice back. You might be happy about that. My wife might be less happy, but following a process, believe me, will take you to the promised land in business. If you don't have a process currently, be happy to help you, in any way that I can. Just give you some tips on exactly what to establish, how to get things moving in the right direction, and then, consistently train people and coach people to put that pressure on the process. So many people get burned out in business because they take all of that pressure on themselves. And they take that pressure on themselves because there's not enough of a process defined for them to put the pressure on the system. And, if you get to that point where you've got a clearly defined process, it is mentally freeing for your sales team and for your employees and your business, and they will follow your lead of getting back to basics and getting back to that process that drives the whole business and the whole customer experience and everything around the success of any business is all based on those core processes that you put in place. Raining in Santa Barbara too, highly helpful. Thank you, T. I appreciate that. Frank Sell, what's happening, man? Great conversation for the group. Appreciate you, buddy. So if you guys don't have any more questions, man, I'm going to drop off of here. I'm going to go tuck my little ones into bed if they're not in bed already. And Kathy, you're very welcome. Kathy, if you ever need anything, just drop me a message. I'm happy to have a conversation or help any way I can. So, but yeah, I'm going to go try to tuck my little ones into bed here, and another day at it in business tomorrow. We get the opportunity to go serve some more folks tomorrow and help some more folks tomorrow, and we're blessed. Everybody on this stream is blessed to have the opportunity to do what we do. And Memorial Day just passed, and reading a lot of the stories and talking to my man Justin Myers on the phone, and just gaining some perspective on some stories that he shared with me. And just makes you extra thankful to be living in the country we live in, have the opportunity that we have to live in this country and be safe and be free. And so thank you to all those families out there that put their loved ones out there, and in the military, and the guys and ladies that go fight on our behalf and represent our country and our patriots, and especially to those that don't make it home in honor of Memorial Day. Man, my heart goes out to those families. I can't imagine. I know a few families who have lost some people, some loved ones in the line of duty, and there's no more honorable sacrifice, but it doesn't make it any easier. And the stories that you hear are just unbelievable. So from all of us at Home of the Hustle to everybody out there, military families, thank you guys for everything that you do. And Frank just posted here, Dennis, you coming in hot tomorrow night, Thursday night, with the one and only Frank Sell. Thank you guys for joining us as always. We are out, and I will see you guys next week.